Okay, so once again, good day everyone. So this time, this will be the continuation of the first topic that we are going to discuss by our dear classmate now. And this time we're focused on data-driven decision making, return on investment analysis, and marketing attribution. And these are interlinked components that collectively empower organizations to optimize their marketing strategies and investment. At the core of this synergy is the reliance on data as the driving force behind decision-making processes. No? By leveraging data, organizations can move beyond intuition and subjective assessment, basing their decisions on concrete information. And this shifts towards data-driven decision-making fundamentally transform the marketing landscape. ROI analysis is a pivotal aspect of data-driven decision-making, providing organizations with a quantitative measure of the success of their marketing initiative. By assessing the return on investment, marketers can identify which strategies are delivering intangible or tangible value and which they may need adjustment or reallocation of resources. This analytical approach ensures that marketing efforts are not only creative and engaging, but also aligned with business objectives, demonstrating a clear impact of the bottom line. Marketing attribution complements ROI analysis by revealing the complex journey a customer takes before making a purchase. In a multi-channel and multi-touchpoint environment, understanding the contribution of its marketing channels to the customer decision-making processes is essential because attribution models helps assign value to each touchpoint, enabling organizations to optimize their marketing mix for maximum impact. And this granular understanding of customer interactions allows for more targeted and effective campaigns. To give us more details about the topic, let us all welcome our presenter. Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Our topic for today is about data-driven decision-making in marketing first. To connect with the previous reporter, which si Sir Ralph nga, diniscuss niya yung marketing analytic tools. Mayroon akong i-share sa inyo, live sa company namin for the purpose of discussion. As you can see here, I'm not on the marketing department, but this is Tableau analytics data. As you can see there, meron kaming mga dashboard and non-dashboard usage, and the users are here, the top users. This is not marketing data, but as you can see, this data is being used by the whole organization on how the users are using the dashboards that are already set, and also yung hindi gumagamit. So yun yung explanation nitong buong dashboard namin. So it's being done by the Tableau Analytics team of our company. And since nga nasa finance ako, so makikita nyo dito na kung ano yung mga area na ginagamit, mataas yung usage. As you can see here, GL, finance, and collection, hindi masyadong gumagamit ng mga dashboards nila, gumagawa ng sarili. So this data is shinare sa akin to ng Tableau Analytics team since nagkaroon sila ng decision last year to migrate yung buong Oracle. So ginamit nila to, and nagtatanong sila sa as naging basis to ng decision making nila on while they want to migrate, during the migration, will they still allow yung pag-create ng own reports, or will they create reports lang nang hindi na i-edit? So napakalaking part. As you can see there, yung decision making ng organization relating to the report now should not be based on haka-haka, But as Sir has mentioned, as the professor has mentioned, it should be based on concrete information. May ganong data, merong mga marketing analytics, merong mga may mga valid sources. So the idea of data-driven marketing may seem overwhelming at first because of the jargons and the terminologies. But if we strip it out of terminologies, and many of his approaches should instantly sound familiar. And to keep this guide simple, we focus on the most critical aspects of the data approach only to help us learn more. These are the further explanation on data-driven marketing. So what is data-driven marketing? Data-driven decision-making in marketing, or data-driven marketing. So data-driven decision-making in marketing is the process of making product development and marketing decisions based on the analysis of customer, marketplace, and competitive data. It is the approach of optimizing brand communications based on customer information. So, the basis is customer information, and yun nga, merong mga concrete information about mostly about the customers. So data-driven marketers use customer data to predict their needs, desires, and future behavior. So such insights help develop personalized marketing strategies for the highest possible return on investment, or ROI. So, but how is data-driven marketing different from the traditional marketing? So, as we are in the modern age na, traditional marketing, in the past kasi, yung pagmamarket nila, walang ano, no, kung ano lang yung market studies available at that time. So, their assumptions about the target and their assumptions about the target audience. So, kapag nag-market sila, pangkalahatan, kung sino lang yung magre-react, yun lang yung, kumbaga, it's not personalized. Kung sino lang yung mag-react, dun lang kumbaga, dun lang magkakaroon ng um, dun lang sila magkakaroon ng data, parang ganun. So, data-driven decision making, to understand the difference, we must revisit the original premise of marketing. In its simplest form, marketing has always focused on two objectives. First is to discover customer needs and desires. And then, using those insights, we deliver what the customers wanted to buy. So in practical terms, this has always meant gaining a deep understanding of the target audience first, which are our customers, and then identifying and anticipating their needs, and then finally designing strategies to deliver goods promising to solve those needs. So traditional marketing teams use a combination of two factors to achieve those objectives. So the traditional marketing team uses market studies available at the time, and then their own assumption, personal assumption about the target audience. Unfortunately, this approach often meant trial and error. Kasi nga, wala ngang, at that time, medyo limited sa data. So, usually trial and error. Kung sino nag-reply, sino nag-react, doon lang sila magkakaroon ng data. Companies has to launch many strategies to find the one capable of achieving their goals. So, magastos and tend to fail yung traditional marketing team, marketing noon. So in contrast, data-driven marketing allows marketers to connect with customers at the right time and with the right offering at that. But the benefits of using data go beyond just improving communications. So modern marketing teams use customer insights to personalize the customer experience, target well-defined marketing segments, and get new customers with the data. Brands can also measure and improve their strategies in real time. So we have these benefits of using big data in marketing. So far, we discussed how big data helps marketers make better decisions that in turn deliver far and do it faster. And it works. So 2 out of 3 of the leading marketers admit that database decisions beat gut instinct. So, syempre, it is much easier and much efficient to have our basis on the database decisions for our database decisions compared to gut instinct. But marketers can benefit from the data in other ways too. For example, data helps to gain better clarity about the target audience. Any information about customers allow marketers to gain a laser sharp understanding of their target audience. So insights about CRM, for example, can increase a marketer's ability to predict customer behavior further. So the result, marketing campaigns that guarantee reaching customers with the right message at the right time. So by using analytical tools, like for example, CRM, they can predict using historical data. They can predict the customer behavior further. So number two, data offers the ability to build stronger connections with potential customers. With data, marketers can build much better connection with their audience. What's more, they can do so at a scale too. For example, real-time campaign data would help a marketer adjust to match a customer's engagement. As a result, they can deliver a campaign that matches the audience expectations continuously. And then number three, uncover the best channels of promotion. Data could reveal not only a target audience preferences, it could also suggest what channels a brand should use to engage their audience now in the future. Such insight, in turn, could help them position the message where its target audience is going to be soon. And number four, when using big data in marketing, um, we can do personalization. Today's customers are very skeptical about generic marketing messages they receive. So, dami kasing way para makareceive itong digital age. Kung malalaman, ay kung pampapansin nyo, yung Facebook, sobrang daming ads, sobrang daming kaya yung email nga din kapag nag-subscribe ka or kahit hindi ka nag-subscribe, merong mga magsisend sa'yo ng mga marketing messages. So, today's customers, very skeptical sila about receiving yung mga marketing messages na pang overall. One study even revealed that 74% of customers feel very frustrated by seeing irrelevant contents from brands. 79% of them won't consider an offer unless a brand personalizes it to their previous interactions. So overall, yung mga customers, masyado silang nasa spam unless interested makukuha yung interest nila dun sa previously na yun yung nakakuha ng interaction from them. And so, to engage customers, marketers must focus on personalizing their experience. Here's how data helps to achieve it. So, first, it delivers a holistic view of the target audience. It helps identify potential customer triggers and pain points. So individual customer information then can enrich brand communication with the person. And does it work? So according to InvestP, much so, businesses that use personalization delivers 5 to 8 times higher ROI from their marketing efforts. So if personalized yung marketing, if personalized a person, um, makukuha yung attention nung customer. So merong compared sa nang sa spam, which is hindi nga personalized, mas malaki yung percentage ng success, sabi ng InvestP. So how data-driven marketing affects business performance specifically research from Forbes suggests that the payoff from focusing on data first is huge. In fact, some of the advantages of a data-driven approach include increasing customer retention and loyalty, acquiring more new customer and increase customer satisfaction and more. Also, according to Zoom, 78% of organizations say that the data-driven marketing increases lead conversion and customer acquisition. So that's the very important part of using data-driven marketing. And as mentioned, there's also another study from Forbes. It's here. It reveals that 66% of marketing leaders, they consider implementing a data-driven strategy to be extremely complicated. So here's what makes the implementation so challenging. Though it is advisable talaga na mag-base sa data-driven marketing for decision making, there are still challenges. So we can see that on the next slide. Most common data-driven marketing challenges. Number one, when using data, the first big challenge is gathering the data. Many new data-driven marketers feel very overwhelmed by the idea of collecting customer information. So most wonder where to find the data. So kanina sinabi meron tayong survey, meron tayong iba-ibang part. Dati kapag sa mga fine dining or sa mga restaurants, merong mga paper. Ngayon naman, after mga call, after mga customer support, 'di ba may mga ganun. May mga may mga pa-survey na. Pero it doesn't necessarily mean na nare-replyan. So, yung one of the challenges is gathering the data. Paano makakuha ng complete data which will be very concrete for your decision making for your big data. So most wonder where to find the data. Some find themselves paralyzed by the overabundance, sobrang dami naman ng data of the available information. So the result, fear of even considering data-driven campaign. How do we overcome this challenge? You'll most likely have access to the majority of data already, and sometimes we are overwhelmed. It's not easy to work with mostly isolated data. Your CRM, website analytics, e-commerce, or advertising tools, very own your ERP system, all kinds of social media types of software, and various other tools can provide insights about customer interactions. From their profile information to website usage to interactions with your product and advertisements. To make a perfectly educated decision, you would need a lot more. But that's a start already that you have it in your own ERP systems and other tools, especially in times when target group interests change quickly. So making decisions purely based on your sales data from the past few years, it is a great start. But if you get more, strive for larger data sets. Unfortunately, having a large number of data sources at your disposal creates another problem. We go to the next challenge, which is pulling data together. To benefit from it, your data must be fresh as possible. If possible, you should use real-time information. Otherwise, your data should update often, daily or weekly at most. The challenge is manually pulling and updating the data regularly. It is a tedious task, especially if you import the information into a spreadsheet by hand, for example. So it will take a lot of time from you. How to overcome it? So create a marketing dashboard. We have here, it's also mentioned earlier, We have some marketing analytical tools that are popular now, Google Analytics and Mixpanel, it was mentioned earlier. It will, all of these tools will allow you to connect to all your data sources in one place. The dashboard syncs information from various marketing channels we use, and it does so in real time. Then it displays information in the order we specified to help us view all the campaign data in one place. So the third challenge in the data-driven marketing is overcoming the data silos to analyze the data. So only 8% of companies store all of their data in one place or a data warehouse. So the rest have it distributed between locations, between teams, between departments. So kung makikita nyo, yung ibang mga companies, hindi sila, lalo na yung malalaking companies, hindi, and merong iba-ibang location, hindi centralized yung mga data. Hindi, at some point, merong disconnect sa mga data warehouse. So, that's not all. Dispersed data makes 69% of organizations unable to provide a single customer view. Dahil iba-iba yung data nga na nako-collect na iba-ibang department, iba-ibang teams, iba-ibang location, and wala pang consolidation. It has been a challenge to analyze data at a single customer view. The result, data silos limiting a marketing team's ability to understand their audience and gain a full insight into the company's performance. It comes as no surprise that 42% of marketers can run basic performance reports only. So how do we overcome this? Unfortunately, for most companies, breaking down those data, big data, will be an arduous process. So kung tingnan nyo, hindi siya ginagawang initiative ng isang company to consolidate yung consolidate yung lahat ng mga process, yung mga mga systems, because it's an arduous process and it takes a lot of time, effort, and FTEs. Yeah. Without going too deep into it, it typically involves setting up common data standards. So, changing the culture of data exchange and embracing marketing analytics platform we talked about above. So the last challenge is building in-house data team. Processing large amounts of data often require building cross-department specialist teams. So many models help structure data teams. The Center of Excellence one focuses on establishing one data expert. The person in turn sets up guidelines and documentation for processing the data. The distributed data team embeds a data expert within critical teams or departments, and the hub and spoke model combines the two above. It provides a single center of data management, but it also offers individual support to critical teams. So these are all very technical, would be very technical to you. So we've covered all the basics of the data approach, but sometimes the easiest way to understand the concept is by looking at how others have used it, have used the data-driven marketing in their decisions. So in this section, I'll show you how some customers, some companies have used data to provide higher marketing ROI. So I have 3 examples here. Number 1 example is using weather data to predict customer buying patterns. So this is one very good example of data-driven marketing use and data-driven decision making in marketing. So it's a great example is that a great example is the way the marketing analytics team of a very popular US basketball team, the Philadelphia 76ers, uses weather data. So using historic venue attendance data, kino-combine nila yun with historic weather reports. And they have this predictive model that is able to foresee future game attendance based on weather forecast for the dates of the games. For example, um, sa ganitong month, merong malakas na ano sa kanila, may snowstorm, snowstorm. May snow o kaya may bagyo, ganun. So, kino-combine nila yun to predict if magiging marami ba yung attendance. And yung mga previous na actuals, previous na history. So, at a certain month, ganito yung weather, ganito yung dami last year, previous year. And then, pinipredict nila sa coming month ba, magiging marami. So, not only is this important for capacity planning, capacity dun sa lugar na paggaganapan ng basketball, NBA, on the day of the game, but it also means they can intervene if the forecasted attendance is low by investing more on advertising before the game. So, ito yung actual na use of data by the NBA team. Ayan yun. Tapos, number two example is integrating company-wide data to enrich decision making. So, telecommunication companies are widely known for their advanced use of various data sets. Wait lang po. Disconnect lang ako. Yan. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes po.
Ayan. Thank you. Telecommunication companies are widely known for their advanced use of various data sets to optimize the experience of their customers. Through automating the acquisition of data into a single database, the digital marketing team of Vodafone Italy was able to link online prospect activities with lead, sales, and activation data handled offline by many call centers using different CRMs. Thanks to cross-analysis of all the data, they managed to identify previously undiscovered opportunities for upselling on existing contracts and reduce churn. So, nagkaroon pa sila ng additional sales because of using ito Vodafone. Parang previous year, naging ano siya, naging matunog siya sa Philippines. Pero ano to, international. So, yan yung ginamit nila yung data on their data-driven decision making in marketing. And then number 3, yan. Number 3, example is using demographic data to improve ad performance. So let's look at the example of the digital team at Colgate Palmolive in in Europe. So they want to understand the performance of individual ad creatives, but with members spread across over 20 countries. Syempre, Colgate Palmolive, ano siya, multinational. All the members are spread across 20 countries and without any automated data collection. This was more wishful thinking than a realistic expectation. Once they had managed to automate and centralize data, so they use data, and the team was able to identify the better performing ads. This learning allowed them to structure future campaigns in a different way and optimized on the fly without a 2-week delay, bringing largely improved CPC values and budget pacing. So, yun yung actual example of decisions based on concrete data. So, we go through the next, yan, ROI analysis. Mabilis na lang. We go to this ROI analysis and marketing attribution. So, What is ROI? So ROI stands for return on investment. ROI. So return on investment. The definition of ROI is the total profit earned from an investment. In terms of marketing and advertising, return on investment will look at the total investment into business costs and marketing campaigns and look at the return of revenue while factoring in other costs. So sa point of view ng marketing and advertising, yung investment nila, total investment nila sa business are the cost and marketing campaigns. So what you want to do is to look at your revenue and then subtract the cost to get your profit, and then divided back to your cost. You can figure out your ROI as a percentage of the total investment. Yan. It is important to monitor and compare your ROI so you can see how your ads are performing through Google Ads, Microsoft Advertising, Facebook Ads, Twitter, LinkedIn, and more. In addition, you can look at your investment in terms of social media, marketing, email marketing, search engine optimization. So ROI, in short, is the profit earned from investment in marketing or advertising. So yung investment din sinasabi dito, ito yung ginastos sa marketing or advertising campaigns. Kung bumalik ba, yun yung ROI. So meron ako example dito, simple lang na example. Example, Surfside PPC runs an advertising campaign. Oh, sorry, putol. Advertising campaign. They spend 10,000 on advertising. Spend yun na, spend. Sabihin, ginastos. And then 5,000 on costs, may gastos uli. This is a marketing campaign, advertising campaign. And drive 20,000 revenue. So nagkaroon siya ng 20,000 revenue. Revenue, ibig sabihin, kumita. Yan, 20,000. So the question is, what is my ROI? How do we compute ROI? I mentioned earlier, you need to take out, define yung costs, mga cost, and also your revenue. Nasabi naman yung revenue, 20,000. Yung cost is advertising plus yung cost, 15,000. So, what is the ROI? If you can see here, the formula for ROI is profit. Ibig sabihin profit, tinanggal mo yung cost sa revenue, and then over costs times 100%. So, in this case, my ROI is 33.3%. And the way we got that is by using the ROI formula up there. You want to take your revenue and subtract that with your cost or your profit. Divide the total cost by 100%. Your ROI should be shown as a percentage because you are looking at what the total return is for your initial investment. Gaano kalaki yung bumalik after mo maglabas ng ganyang costs. So, initial investment, we call it investment costs. Initial investment, you put into the business is 15K, and the total return, bumalik is 20K. Yung ROI mo is 33.3, yun yung difference nila. Yun yung return, bumalik sa'yo, 5K. So, ayun siya, kaya siya ROI. Yung I doon, yung investment, ano yung nag-return. Yan. So, 33.3% yung ROI. So, what is the application? What is the application? Ayan. We can always use ROI so to assess which strategies should we decide to continue, which campaigns are flourishing, which campaigns should we stop. So that's the reason why we need to identify, we need to understand ROI also, not just in marketing but also in daily life. Alin yung dapat i-stop, alin yung yun. Alin yung dapat na ituloy sa lahat ng campaigns na yun. If maganda ba yung nito, maganda ba yung nagiging result, if then we continue. It will be the basis of decision making. So what is a good ROI? Of course, good ROI, kasi nga return on investment dapat positive siya. Hindi siya palugi. Naglabas ka ng 15K, hindi man lang bumalik, naging 10K lang, hindi man lang bumalik yung pinuhunan mo, parang ganun. So, dapat positive siya, tumaas. And at least 10% or more, but 5%, 33.3% yung kanina. But we try to achieve an ROI of 10% or more. However, it depends on your industry, your goals, competition, and other factors. So, at a high level, a good ROI is a positive ROI. Good ROI still depends on your industry or goals or what you're trying to achieve. If you're an investor, you look for an ROI of at least 5% and hoping for further 10%. But again, it will depend on your industry, your competition, and products or services offered. Of course, we want it to be much higher, like what we have seen earlier, 33%. Marketing attribution. So a customer can have hundreds of interactions. This could be the last slide already, the last topic. A customer can have hundreds of interactions with a brand before ever making a single purchase. Sure, you might know what landing page what landing page a customer converted on, but what about all the social media posts, the content, the site pages that also influence their decision to buy? All of these interactions should change how you allocate your resources so you can maximize your ROI. But this complex buyer's journey makes our jobs harder, and it means you need a more sophisticated way to measure what channels and assets are creating sales opportunity. That's why marketers are relying on attribution modeling. Attribution modeling is a set of rules for assigning credit to the various touch points in a conversion path. So it helps marketers understand the trends on how prospects move through the path to purchase. There are a couple different attribution models out there, and depending on the product you sell and the length of the buying cycle, one might make more sense than the other. Let's go over on most of the common types of attribution modeling. So the first one is first touch attribution. This is where 100% of the credit is assigned 100% of the credit is assigned to the page that originally drove a visitor to your site. So at this first view is on the social as the first part where the visitor goes to your site. This model does overemphasize top of the funnel marketing efforts, but it's an easy way to know what exactly is attracting people to your brand. So then the next one is the last touch attribution, which singles out the first touch point of the most recent visit. So if a visitor views a blog post, clicks it, and converts on a landing page, the blog post will receive the credit. So kapag nag-click dito yung customer, tapos napunta dun sa landing page, yung mga ads, kapag nag-click sila, yung kinlik niya na yun yung magkakaroon ng credit. Ang tawag doon, last touch attribution. The last interaction model, it gives credit to the touch point where a conversion directly occurred. Use this to determine the effectiveness of your landing pages. So, the first and last attribution model gives equal credit to the first and last touch points. So, first and last touch points. A single decay attribution model assigns a weighted average percentage of the credit to the most recent touch points. Yun. Lahat ng mga nakiklik nila, yun yung merong credit. Use this in buying. Use this if your buying cycle is short, as it assumes that the assets a prospect interacted with closer to the time of sale are most important in a purchase decision. While the linear attribution model gives equal credit to every interaction during the buyer's journey. So an in-person event is given the same weight as a click on a banner ad. So lahat ng kinlik nung customer, we're all considered as important, equally important. So, ganun yung magiging decision making sa pagkuha nitong data sa linear attribution model. So, multi-channel attribution model can be complex, but you won't truly know if you're spending your time and resources on the right marketing activities without it. So these are the models that we use. Yeah. So all these interactions should change how you allocate the resources, so you can maximize the ROI. So these are the sophisticated way to measure the channels and assets that are creating sales opportunities. So ito yung mga attribution models. Ayan. Sir, that's the last part of my my report.
Okay, so thank you so much. No? Again, the marketing attribution aids in resource allocation. No? Organization can identify the channel that have the most significant influence or conversion. These insights guides budget distribution, ensuring that marketing spends it is focused on the channels and strategies that contribute most significantly to the overall marketing objective. So it also facilitates the identification of synergies between different channels, allowing for the development of integrated campaigns and capitalize on the strength of each touch point. No? As organizations increasingly adopt a customer-centric approach, data-driven decision-making, ROI analysis, and marketing attribution becomes instrumental in tailoring marketing efforts to individual preferences. So the ability to attribute specific outcomes to marketing activities allows for the creation of personalized and targeted campaigns, enhancing the overall customer experience. This personalized approach not only strengthens customer relationship, but also maximizes the likelihood of conversion and customer loyalty. In conclusion, the integration of data-driven decision-making, ROI analysis, and marketing attribution creates a powerful framework for organizations to navigate the complexities of the modern marketing landscape. By embracing analytics and attributing value to each touchpoint, businesses can make informed decisions, optimize their marketing investment, and ultimately drive sustainable growth. As the digital landscape evolves, the importance of these practices will only continue to grow, solidifying the role as essential components of successful marketing strategies. So I think that's it for this topic. Congratulations to our presenter and good morning, everyone.